Capacitors, also known as condensers, are devices that can absorb and store energy. In the event of a voltage spike, the capacitor will absorb additional energy before it damages the circuit. Capacitors are often used on circuit boards to store energy. In a radio amplifier, capacitors are used to store energy for an instance when the amplifier is drawing more energy than it has available.
Capacitors.
A capacitor is created by placing two conductive surfaces, or plates, close together and separating them by an insulator. The insulator, or dielectric, can be made of plastic, glass, paper, ceramic, or air between the two plates. When voltage is applied to the plates, they become charged. One of the conductive plates is positively charged, while the other is negatively charged. When the voltage is removed, the plates remain charged. If the surface area of the capacitor is increased, the plates will be able to hold a higher charge.
Choose the correct answer for the question. When finished, select Check Answer.
Rheostats are two-wire variable resistors. One wire is fixed to a carbon or wire-wound resistor, and the other is connected to a sliding contact called a wiper. Rheostats vary the resistance in the circuit depending on the placement of the wiper on the resistor. As the wiper moves away from the rheostat's fixed contact, the resistance changes depending on the amount of the resistor that is in the circuit. A longer distance results in increased resistance to current. Rheostats are commonly used in the interior lighting system. They are used for controlling the dimming of the dash lighting.
Choose the correct answer for the question. When finished, select Check Answer.
Potentiometers are variable resistors with three terminals. Two of the terminals are inputs, and the third is an output, which is a movable terminal that moves over a resistance component. The movable terminal position allows different amounts of voltage to be output. Potentiometers are typically used in a vehicle's onboard computer. Examples of potentiometers include a throttle pedal position sensor, an EGR position sensor, and a throttle position sensor.
Choose the correct answer for the question. When finished, select Check Answer.
Thermistors are a form of resistor that are used to change resistance based on temperature. They can be used to sense ambient or engine coolant temperatures. There are two types of thermistors: negative temperature coefficient, or NTC, and positive temperature coefficient, or PTC. Negative temperature coefficient, or NTC thermistors, decrease their resistance as temperature increases. As the resistance decreases, this allows more current flow. The NTC thermistor is the most popular type of thermistor used. Positive temperature coefficient, or PTC thermistors, increase resistance as the temperature increases. It is used as a type of circuit breaker made of a special material that limits current flow as it heats. Unlike a regular circuit breaker, the PTC will not reset until power is removed and the breaker is cooled. A PTC thermistor can be used in place of a fuse to decrease current flow. As the resistive heat generated by the circuit increases, the resistance increases. This eventually limits the amount of current flow being used to control a circuit or device. PTCs are commonly used to protect power window and power door lock systems.
Choose the correct answer for the question. When finished, select Check Answer.
A pressure transducer is a device that converts a pressure signal into an electrical signal. The electrical signal is then used as an input to a control module. A turbo pressure sensor is a good example of a pressure transducer. As the turbo pressure changes, the turbo pressure sensor sends a signal to the pressure gauge to display the current pressure of the turbo.
Choose the correct answer for the question. When finished, select Check Answer.
A turbo pressure sensor is a good example. A pressure transducer is a device that converts a pressure. A turbo pressure sensor.
Choose the correct answer for the question. When finished, select Check Answer.
Photocells, also known as photoresistors, are resistors that take light and convert it into energy to control a device or circuit. It is usually mounted in the rearview mirror support or behind the front grille. Photocells are composed of two electrodes that are placed between light-sensitive materials. When light hits the material, current increases according to the intensity of the light. Photocells are commonly used to activate automatic daytime running lights. They are also used to activate the automatic headlight system.
Choose the correct answer for the question. When finished, select Check Answer.
An infrared sensor is similar to a photocell in that it takes light and converts it into an electrical signal. However, an infrared sensor uses heat from infrared radiation to convert the heat into an electrical signal. Infrared sensors are commonly used in automatic windshield wipers to control the speed of the wipers depending on the amount of rain. If the windshield is dry, the infrared sensor gets back most of the infrared light it sends to the windshield. When rain hits the windshield, the infrared sensor detects less light due to the rain sending more light away from the rain sensor.
Choose the correct answer for the question. When finished, select Check Answer.
So, infrared. Ano yung photocell? Wala na ako dun. Semiconductors.
Semiconductors are materials with electrical conductivity at high temperatures. At normal temperatures, semiconductors fall between a conductor and an insulator. At low temperatures, they act as insulators. Semiconductors do not have more conductivity than regular conductors. Semiconductors are made from materials such as silicon or germanium. Both of these materials are classified as crystals. They are used to make components such as computer processors, diodes, and transistors. There are two types of semiconductors: N-type, negative, and P-type, positive. N-type and P-type semiconductors are created by doping the crystals with impurities. Doping is the addition of another element to the semiconductor.
Choose the correct answer for the question. When finished, select Check Answer.
A diode is the simplest kind of semiconductor. They are devices with low resistance to current in one direction and high resistance to current in the other direction. In other words, diodes allow current flow in one direction and block it in the other direction. Diodes are formed from one P-type material and one N-type material. The negative side is called the cathode, while the positive side is the anode. The point at which the positive and negative sides meet is called the p-n junction. A forward bias diode is a diode that is connected to voltage so that the current is able to flow. Ground is applied to the N-type material, and positive voltage is applied to the P-type material. In this state, the diode acts as a conductor. A reverse bias diode is a diode that is connected to voltage so that there is no current flow. Ground is applied to the P-type material, and positive voltage is applied to the N-type material. In this state, the diode acts as an insulator.
There are several types of diodes, including Zener, LED, and clamping. Select each highlight to learn more. When finished,
a Zener diode is a special reversed biased diode. It normally conducts electricity in a forward direction, but permits flow in the reverse direction if enough reverse biased voltage is applied. Zener diodes are commonly used for electronic voltage regulators. A rectifier, composed of multiple diodes, changes alternating current, or AC, to direct current, or DC. The most common use of a rectifier on a vehicle is in the alternator.
Choose the correct answer for the question. When finished, select Check Answer.
solid-state relay, or SSR, controls current flow using semiconductors such as transistors. Solid-state relays do not contain moving parts and are made of solid semiconductors such as silicon. They are often used to control the radiator cooling fan motor.
State relays.
Solid-state relays are different from conventional relays in one aspect. A conventional relay turns current completely on or off. The solid-state relay varies the current flow.
Choose the correct answer for the question. When finished, select Check Answer.
Transistors are three-terminal devices that switch, amplify, or oscillate electrical signals by varying voltage or current between two of the terminals. Transistors are commonly used in electronic control modules, or ECMs, as signal amplifiers or as a control for a circuit or device. Transistors are semiconductors made of a combination of three p-type and n-type materials. One combination is NPN, consisting of one positive or p-type and two negative or n-type semiconductors. The other combination is PNP, consisting of one negative and two positive semiconductors. Transistors consist of three layers: an emitter, a base in the middle, and a collector. Each layer has its own lead. The arrow on a transistor in a schematic will always face the direction of current flow. In an NPN, the arrow faces away from the base. In the PNP, the arrow faces towards the base. The NPN type takes in a small amount of current through one of the N-types and the P-type and outputs a large amount of current through the remaining N-type semiconductor. On an NPN transistor, the base has positive voltage applied, which turns on the transistor. The current flows from the collector to the emitter and usually controls the negative side of a circuit or component.
Collector, emitter.
A PNP transistor takes in current through one of the P-types and outputs a large amount of current through the remaining P-type semiconductor. The PNP type moves current in the opposite direction from the NPN, meaning that the current flows from the emitter to the collector. A negative charge or low voltage is applied to the base to activate the transistor. This type of transistor usually controls the positive side of any safety-related circuits. Output drivers are used in control modules as signal outputs for controlling electrical components or devices. Their signals can be voltage, current, or ground. For example, the output of a computer is used to control the injector on a fuel-injected vehicle.
Choose the correct answer for the question. When finished, select Check Answer. Congratulations, you have successfully completed the Electrical Components course. In this course, you have learned to identify wires, electromechanically controlled components, electrically controlled components, and solid-state electrical components.